Hello everyone and welcome to today's review of the England versus Andorra game. England made it back to five wins in a row in World Cup qualifying, which we're all delighted about. And today to share that delight, I'm joined by Bernard and by Jack, who were both with me on Tuesday night. How are you doing, boys? You okay?
Absolutely fine, thank you. Glad to be here.
Absolutely, and it's made even better by the fact that we beat Andorra just now. I know it was a pretty dull game in parts, but I'll come to you first, Bernard. What was your assessment of the performance?
I think the problem is with any of these games when whatever level of football you're playing at, if you're going to play a lower level team, you always tend to get dragged down to their level. To be honest with you, it's very difficult to rise above it. And with excuse me, with the B team, which is what it was, obviously guys who haven't played together much. Let's be honest about it. They might have played together on the training pitch and stuff like that, but it's always going to be very, very difficult. And all credit to Andorra, they did what they had to do. They worked hard. We could have done a little bit better, obviously, but it wasn't the greatest entertainment until obviously the three main guys come on in the second half. But yeah, we won it, didn't we? I mean, that's all you can say. Let's put that to the back and move on. Let's get on to the next one, I think.
Yeah, I think I concur that it was very much a case of job done, get that one out of the way. How did you feel the side pulled together today, Jack, considering the fact that Gareth Southgate gave a chance for some maybe fresh blood, making 11 changes? We saw the likes of Patrick Bamford come into the fold, Jesse Lingard get a well-deserved start, and he proved his worth by scoring 2 goals today. How did you feel the side performed?
It felt to me like he was rewarding those players who didn't do much during the Euros, as if to say, have your moment in front of 60,000 people at Wembley. That's what I felt the whole thing was. It was sort of like a sort of procession of the whole thing. You know, you sort of know what you're going to get with these games, don't you? Against the Andorras, the San Marinos, you're going to play 5-4-1, you're going to have to break them down. Eventually, they'll get tired and you'll score 3 or 4. And that's exactly what happened, even with this B team that we played. I think the good takeaways are is that it showed that England have got some pretty good strength and depth at the minute, I would say. You know, obviously we've got all the right backs in the world. Um, one or two areas we maybe could improve in terms of depth. I think it's a bit weird that Kieran Trippier is suddenly our second choice left back. Not quite sure how that one's happened. But certainly some bright spots. And yeah, like you say, I think the fixtures have worked out quite kindly for us, haven't they? The fact that we could make these 11 changes in between the two supposedly more difficult games has helped quite a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned bright spots there, Jack. I'll put that question to you then, Bernard. Who were the bright spots of the game for you in particular?
Well, I think to be honest with you, I mean, I think felt a bit sorry rather than talk about a bright spot. I felt a bit sorry for Bamford. I mean, I think he must have been dreaming of making his debut and playing in a game against Andorra must have been an ideal opportunity for him. I think he'd be a bit gutted how it turned out in the end. It's not all his fault, of course. It was a lack of creativity for him, and he had a couple of half chances, didn't he, which he snatched at. Well, I mean, if you look at the lads, I mean, Cody and Mings, I mean, let's face it, I think, did Johnston actually touch the ball? I'm not too sure if he actually touched the ball during the game. Did you lads see him actually take a goal kick or anything?
Times.
I mean, yeah, I mean, we know what to expect from people like Henderson, don't we? And even Lingard, we know what to expect. But I think Saka, came out of this the best on the day, and it's great to see him score at the end. Although, to be honest with you, the second half, I was struggling to find any of the players until 70 minutes when the three lads came on. I forgot Saka was playing for a little while until obviously later on in the game, but it was great for him. I think he'll be glad. He'll be that smile on his face is always nice to see. I think he was sort of my highlight of the night anyway. Watching Saka at least get that goal tonight, I think he enjoyed it, and I think most fans did.
Yeah, Jack Bernard mentioned there about Saka. You know, he scored on his birthday today, and before the game, you know, there was a real carnival atmosphere. There was a banner in support of Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho, and Saka. How important do you think it would be for those players to know that they've got the support from the fan base behind them, you know, and seeing that banner today?
Yeah, incredibly important. I think that was a really nice thing. And after what happened on Thursday as well, I think it was important that we, took a stand. I think it's safe to say a slightly different crowd to the one that would have been there for the, Euros final. Last Sunday of the school holidays, maybe the tickets weren't particularly difficult to get or particularly expensive. That, there was quite a lot of kids there, wasn't there? There was no booing of the knee, from what I heard. There was no. Yeah, there was they didn't boo the national anthem or anything like that. It was all very well behaved, and I think it's good that those three get the support from us. And it was very nice to see. So I think he's everybody's favourite footballer at the minute, isn't he, Bukayo Saka? And the fact he scored on his 20th birthday was very sweet. So good for him. Thought Jude Bellingham was very good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he's a really exciting prospect. I have to say, 18 years old, and he just carries himself like he's just had 100 caps already. I think he's tremendous.
Yeah, for me, he screams in the future a Man United captain in particular. Like you said, the way these young players carry themselves is, really exciting for the future of English football. But we've got one more game to go in qualifying, and that is Poland. How do you assess England's squad going into that game, Bernard, and the chances of getting a result, really, because we're 5 points clear of second place Poland?
Yeah, well, I don't think there's any of the lads today probably edged into the team. It's going to be, I would imagine, a straight 11-man swap, isn't it, again for the for the start of this Poland game? And I expect a similar thing, but I think they're better. I think they're better than Hungary. I think they'll give us more of a challenge than Hungary will. I don't think it will be an easy game. But if we can do a similar sort of job, I'd be very happy. But I'm looking forward to it. Actually, I'm quite looking forward to a challenging game. A game where it'll sort of try us a little bit. I find these obviously today, and even the Hungary in the second half. I want to see City. I want to see England. Sorry, guys. I want to see England under pressure. And I want to see how they react as players, as a team, and how Southgate reacts again. As I say, I've still got a little bit of a bitter taste in my mouth after the Italy game of how we reacted in that one. So I do want to see a little bit of change when we're under a bit of pressure, and I think obviously we'll learn a lot more from that Poland. I think we should still do it. I think I'll be happy with a draw. I don't want a draw. I think we should go there and win. But it'll be interesting to see how we do cope with a bit more pressure than we've got the last certainly in this game today, and the Hungary game as well in the second half. So I'm looking forward to it from that sort of point of view, just to see how the team reacts if we do go a goal behind or come under pressure, and see how Southgate reacts as well.
A key word Bernard kept using there, Jack, was pressure. One player who's going to obviously apply pressure to the England defence is Robert Lewandowski, who's been a prolific marksman throughout the years of his career. How do you think England should deal with him going into the game on Sunday? Is it? Yeah. Sunday.
Just stop the supply line.
Wednesday.
Yeah, just stop the supply line to him, really. I was just going back to the game about what Bernard was saying about having a challenge. I was very disappointed with Hungary. I thought they just very clearly from the first 5 minutes, it was very obvious they went for a draw in that game. They just didn't try and win. And I picked up that Sabozlai, didn't I, on the podcast on Wednesday, and he did absolutely naff all. So that was disappointing. But Poland are a weird one, aren't they? Because every time they sort of go into a tournament, I think they got to the World Cup a few years ago, didn't they? Obviously, they got to the Euros this time. And they're always touted as this dark horse, aren't they? Basically because they've got one of the best centre forwards in the world. And they just never do anything, do they? They're just always a bit sort of, they've got just not a whole lot apart from that one unbelievably good player up front. So I think Gareth, if you offered him a 0-0 draw on Wednesday, I think he would be quite happy with that. And then we're pretty much home and hosed, aren't we, in terms of qualifying for the tournament. But I don't know. I think we should go for it. The full 10 out of 10 wins. To be honest with you, let's really lay down a marker.
Absolutely, I think I agree as well. Really lay down a marker to give out a statement in preparation for Qatar 2022, and we also did that against Hungary. But unfortunately, what we're going to be talking about in the Hungary game today is the disgusting racial abuse that the likes of Raheem Sterling and Jude Bellingham received during and prior to the game. I'm just wondering, Bernard, could I get your thoughts on that and what punishment you should expect Hungary to be receiving?
Yeah, I think we were sort of saying before that game, we thought it was going to be a no crowd, didn't we? At one stage, I think we were saying, but obviously that's UEFA, isn't it, as opposed to
Yeah,
FIFA,
sorry, my mistake. Yeah,
which is silly in my mind anyway. At the end of the day, they should sort of link together and join up and actually do the things. The problem with teams like Hungary, I mean, I think the foreign minister come round and blamed said it was England fans partly to blame because we were complaining about this, and it's all our fault. It's not their fault, and that's the trouble. If you got guys up in power, if you like, who were coming out with that sort of rubbish, then you've got absolutely no chance. It doesn't matter if you ban the fans for a couple of games, unless you've got a total change in the actual audit, if you like, from up to the government level. Unless you've got that actual change, someone's interested in doing it, nothing's going to happen. It's going to be the same thing time and time again because it doesn't matter. You can play to an empty crowd for a couple of games, but it's just going to come back unless someone in power or someone high up is going to take those steps. You're never going to eradicate. It's not just Hungary. I mean, of course, it's other teams as well, but no one seems to have the FIFA or UEFA seems to have the power or the wish to actually clamp down on these teams and actually start banning the teams from playing in competitions. And perhaps someone in power might do something about it, but at the moment, it's just firefighting. There's no real change I can foresee, certainly for the very near future.
Yeah, I totally agree there, Bernard. Some of the language that gets used by politicians, etc., about it not being acceptable, it sort of feels like a token gesture to come out and just, make themselves not look bad. For example, what do you think needs to be done, Jack? Do you concur with many of Bernard's statements there?
I agree with pretty much all of Bernard's statements. I think it was just very predictable, wasn't it, the whole thing? I think we were warned about this might happen. It did happen. Once we got the first goal, it sort of opened the floodgates a little bit, didn't it? I'm generally not a big fan of stadium bans and collective punishments because I think, but in this case, like it happens so often and so little of it seems to be done. We just seem to have this same conversation over and over again. It's difficult. The only way you can really sort it is, I don't know, maybe just kick them out of like the competition. Like, sorry, you can't qualify this time, unless because you're clearly not doing anything. It's going to happen. We knew it was going to happen, and you're not doing anything about it. I also think this weird, you're banned from UEFA competitions, but not FIFA competitions is very confusing and stupid. I'm not really sure about that one.
Yeah.
And also, it was just all the lads in the black shirts. They all wore the shirts saying like, this, this is some sort of part of some sort of far right group, aren't they? It's like usually sometimes it might be quite difficult to spot like individual people doing it, but if they're all wearing a T-shirt saying "I am a racist," it's surely they can do something about that. You would think, wouldn't you? I did quite enjoy Declan Rice and Jack Grealish drinking out the cups. That was quite funny. But yeah, just very predictable, and just we know nothing's going to get done about it. We'll have the same conversation in 4 months' time.
Well, hopefully something does get done about it in terms of, I read today in the Daily Mail that an organisation called Fair Network are compiling a very extensive report on what they saw during the game. They also said that that ban should have been carried over to FIFA as well, and I think we can all agree. One sort of... Go on, Jack, sorry.
Sorry, just one more. Sorry, just very quickly. I think we do need to be careful as England fans to not, because we're not exactly, for us to say, it's difficult for. I think Gareth even said this, didn't he? We've got our own house to sort out as well. We saw what happened in the Euro final. We see that racist abuse does happen quite a lot online. So I think sometimes we do need to be a bit careful. Stop booing national anthems, stop booing the knee. Sort that out, and then maybe we can tell other people how to sort their own lives out.
Yeah, thankfully, though, as I was saying, that they appear to be filing a huge report on what they saw. Like you said earlier, though, Jack, one sort of positive, poignant image to come out of that was Declan Rice swigging a drink of whatever he did, and imploring the Hungry fans, to say, look, we aren't going to be deterred by this, and we're going to get on with playing the game.
Oh,
have you gone? Has he gone? There you go. You're back on. Yeah,
I'm back now. We had a bit
back in the room. Right.
Wi-Fi problem there. It seemed. What did you get up to there, Bert? And in terms of when I was speaking there. Did you hear all
Yeah,
of
you're
it?
about swigging. You're about swigging the beer with the Declan Rice and Grealish, and you sort of cut off then.
Yeah, it was a very poignant image. I was saying, how important do you think it is that England have such positive role models like that for the next generation? You know, to serve as a reminder that racism isn't acceptable, and we can influence society by our positive actions.
Yeah, it's a very good point, that, mate. I mean, to be honest with you, I mean, say we've got a youngish team, haven't we, now, and they seem to do all the right things. As I say, we still have our idiots, unfortunately, which be very hard not to have the occasional idiot. It's not a massive load of people, but I mean, it is a lot of people. It's not just the odd one or two. But yeah, I mean, these young lads, I mean, you know, you see them enjoying the football. That's what you want. You see them enjoying the football for the local, you know, for their own clubs, never mind for England, etc. And there seems to be a lot of that and a lot of camaraderie, and I think that sort of can help and move over to the crowds. But as I say, we can't. We're not the police. England can't police anybody. We have our own little problems as well. But we can certainly help and take steps to ensure that other countries actually start looking at this a little bit more and draw attention to it where need be. And obviously, if it means. I mean, our big lads, don't forget Grealish, they're used to playing in front of these sort of partisan crowds, you know, for the big games and stuff like that. And I don't think it's going to deter them, and I'm sure on the pitch they're going to do the business. But yeah, I mean, that we can do our bit and the players can do their bit, but I think we have to go a little bit higher with most things on this. I think rather than just the players. The players are doing a wonderful. I think the players are doing a wonderful job at the moment. It's certainly the English players and lots of players around different countries with the knee thing and all this sort of thing. And I think they just carry on doing that, and hopefully other people will do their side of it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think these kind of players and good role models can only stand the next generation in good stead for many years. Their impact off the pitch will be felt for many years and throughout many generations. And do you see these players still making an impact upon society, you know, like Marcus Rashford, when they retire and things like that? Because I think a pundit said the same the other day. I can't remember who it was, but I concur with that as well. I think Marcus Rashford impact doesn't just stop with football, and I think he might even move into politics one day or something like that once he retires.
I could see Marcus Rashford as mayor of Manchester one day. I think that would go down quite well. I think. Yeah, I think this England team is very likeable at the minute, isn't it? I think, you know, I don't know if you saw that clip this week of Declan Rice handing Calvin Phillips his Player of the Year award for England. That was very sweet. You can tell they just all get on, and yeah, I think we're very lucky that we've got people like Marcus Rashford and Bukayo Saka, and Jordan Henderson does a lot of charity work as well, doesn't he? So, you know, I very much hope so. That again, I think I discussed this on Wednesday. You know, these people have got a platform, and they should use it. You know, all these people that say just stick to football need to get in the bin, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And you know, the positive feel that they gain from the Euros can be seen this week in figures released where 5 billion people tuned into the tournament this summer, which is astronomical figures. Do you think that's due to the pandemic, Bernard, and you know, being deprived of football for so many months? And how good was it for you personally, on a personal note, to hear of those numbers? And you know, is football popular than ever in your opinion now?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously a culmination of things, isn't it, with the COVID and people wanting to watch football, etc. With it being on free to view on the actual big games, if you like. I mean, I don't particularly subscribe to Sky or BT or these other things. I think we get ripped off in this country, and I think I'm glad the England games are on ITV, etc., so I can watch them there. But yeah, I think this is it. I think it was slightly up, wasn't it, on the last Euro Championships?
Yeah.
You know, not massively up, but slightly up. And if they're playing entertaining football, this is what it's all about. I watch most of the games. I don't usually watch most of the games. I watch most of the games because they were entertaining. You know, I'm quite lucky with the team I support and what I watch football-wise at the moment. I get entertained. And I must admit, sometimes watching international football is, for me, you know, it sounds weird, but it's a step down for me, the sort of quality of football I watch. But yeah, I think they were all entertaining games in the Euros. I think they were smashing, and I think as the tournament grew, I think obviously with England's progression, I think more and more people realise, hey, there's some good games here, not just England but the other teams. And I think if you put entertaining football out there, you're going to get watchers. And I think a lot of these countries like China and India and places like that, obviously that's where these companies want football to sort of be big, isn't it? So if you got those jumping on board as well, you're bound to see massive viewing figures anyway. So it's still growing. So that's a good sign for football in general. As I say, there's certain elements of it causing us problems at the moment, particularly off the pitch. But yeah, it's got to be good. It's got to be good. And I think the be-all and end-all is just play entertaining football. And, they will come and watch if you do play entertaining football.
Bernard raises a very interesting and valid point there, Jack, about the fact that the Euros was on free-to-air TV. Is that something you get behind? Because I know for me personally it is. And I personally think the broadcasting companies have missed a trick, with going back to the 3 p.m. blackout that's been in this country since the 1960s. Is that something you would like to see reviewed, or do you think it's outdated, or do you think...
No, I don't think it is actually. I quite like the 3 p.m. blackout. I think I don't think you need to watch every single. Last year when COVID was on and you got to watch all 10 Premier League games spaced out from Friday to Monday, it was quite exhausting. Really, you just couldn't really keep up. So I quite like the fact, I prefer it when Soccer Saturday's on and there's lots of games rather than just one Premier League game at 3 o'clock. I quite like it, and it inspires people to go and watch their team rather than just sit behind an armchair and just watch it from their lounge. I totally agree that free-to-air television is much needs to be looked into more. They need to do more of that. I just think it's too, what's the word? Exclusive, I guess. Not very inclusive of, you want the more and more people to watch football because it's working man's game, isn't it? That's what it's started as. And I feel like it's getting away from that because, my Sky bill at the minute with Sky Sports is just it's very expensive. It is. And, yeah, I think I think the cricket are starting to do it a bit more now. Obviously, you get the Olympics on free-to-air TV and the viewing figures for them are great. And the participation because of it goes up quite a bit. So yeah, definitely keep it on free-to-air TV. I think one thing about the Euros, I would say, never do that thing of having it in 12 different countries ever again. Don't do that. That was no good.
I'm back again. Sorry, people about the Wi-Fi troubles there. Did you hear any of that?
Yeah, everything.
Yeah,
I was saying there, I personally would like to see, 3 p.m. kickoffs be aired on TV. Because for some fans, like you were saying there, Jack, some of the bills and ticket prices are quite astronomical in this day and age. I know the EFL has something called iFollow. Is that something you would look to adopt in the Premier League, Bernard? That's where you can pay a subscription fee to watch all the games of your particular team. I know it's not really an issue for Man City, but is that something you would subscribe to if you were, say, at Burnley, for example?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting you could say that, but I mean, like the next game we play obviously is against Leicester away, which isn't a small game by any means, but it's a 3 p.m. kickoff, and the chances of obviously most of us getting tickets for their stadium is minute, So I'm going to have to scratch around and try and find somewhere I can watch it. Now, that's the only thing that's a bugbear with me, because I know if I lived in America or somewhere else, I can watch as many games as I want. I don't have to watch them all. I can pick and choose and watch what I want for a fairly good price. And as a fan who goes to all the home games, that's great, but I can't get to all the away games, not just because I can't get to them, because I just can't get tickets for them. So it is a little bit of a bugbear, that side of it, if you are a keen, if you like, follower who does like support your team around the country. But as you say, I always thought that individual clubs would have their own little this I follow thing that you just mentioned there. I always thought it'd get to the stage where each club would have their own thing, but it's never going to happen, obviously, with people like Sky and Amazon and BT about, of course, things like that. But absolutely, for certainly your championship teams and your other teams, they should have something like that anyway, because their chances of getting to see their teams are very sparse, aren't they? Let's be honest about it. If you can't get to the game, so I think that's a great idea. If that's what they've been hinting at on that with the iFollow, that's what they would try and do. I see nothing wrong with that at all. As I say, with the big teams, it's not so much a problem, but it can still be a problem. You say I'm a bit miffed, as I say, because I believe United, a certain player who's making his debut for United, possibly. I don't think that's on on TV as well, is it? So there are problems like with any sort of system, but that iFollow thing sounds pretty good to me.
That was personally an idea that came from myself there. It wasn't any particular thing that I've read. So if you're watching the Premier League bosses, give me an email. Have a chat, basically, is what I'm saying. Like Bernard said there, the fact that the Ronaldo game versus Newcastle, when he makes his second debut for Man United, is also a 3 p.m. kickoff, just highlights the implications that we can sometimes have with 3 p.m. kickoffs not being aired. And Sky and BT was actually offered the chance to, change it back to a TV kickoff time, but they decided against it. Jack, do you think they've missed a trick there, or do you think they've made the right decision?
It's easy to say that now, isn't it? Because, obviously they didn't know Cristiano Ronaldo was signed for them. But I do think fans get messed around with that a bit too much. You can't just, sometimes it's just really short notice. People have to book hotels quite far in advance, and then you have to tell the Newcastle fan who goes down to Arsenal, oh, by the way, that game that's on in 3 weeks in North London from Newcastle, that's now the day after, so you have to rearrange all your weekend plans. Sorry about that. You've got to work it. You've got to sort of be careful the other way, haven't you? And you've got to be careful with this. The iFollow thing is a good idea, but you don't want them to take the mick, do you? Because then the price will just keep going up and up and up and up, and then eventually it'll be that pay-per-view debacle that we had last year. Remember that? That was fun, wasn't it? When everybody had to pay 15 quid to watch Wolves versus Leicester.
Yeah, that wasn't fun. And Burnley FC actually did a thing where we donated to the local food bank, instead of paying for the £15 subscription fee to watch Burnley versus West Brom. And I think we made the right choice, because I think that was the only nil-nil draw of the season so far. So kudos to all the Burnley fans who did that. Bernard mentioned a few moments ago the return of Cristiano Ronaldo to Manchester United. How excited are you as a Man City fan, even though you missed out on him, Bernard, which we can talk about, to come up against him again and pit your wits against a talent such as Cristiano Ronaldo?
Well, I went on Twitter when this Ronaldo thing first broke, because all it is a ploy to try and embarrass City by saying, oh, he's changed his mind now, he's going to United, oh, City are rubbish. I mean, that's all it was from the City. Were never really interested in Ronaldo. They may have been offered, but let's face it, if Ronaldo hadn't got back to United, I mean, I have no idea what else he would have done, to be honest with you. I mean, it was just set up for it, wasn't it? And he's the ideal United purchase these days. He's old, he's getting towards the end of his career, he might have a season or two left in him, but I mean, I'm a bit biased on this, mate. I tell you what, if they did show the United Newcastle game, I certainly wouldn't be watching it anyway. I've no interest whatsoever, but it'd be interesting, I think, from a dynamic point of view. It'd be interesting to see how United go forward now. I think they were fairly lucky against Wolves the other day. I saw snippets of that game, but obviously, he's an ego, isn't he? This is the problem. He's an ego, and all the other guys are going to have to work around this lad. So it may be a wonderful purchase at 560 grand a week or whatever they're paying him. Obviously this club that doesn't have to. People play for United for nothing, don't they? Let's be honest about it. But it'd be interesting, because he could actually do it. It could inspire them to a league title. There's no doubt about it. But he's gonna, Solskjaer's got a few problems there, I think, going forward when Ronaldo turns up. Certainly penalties. I mean, some guy's not going to be very happy, is he, when he's going to be taking all the penalties again. Bruno's going to have his nose out of joint. But it'd be interesting to see. But as I say, I won't be taking much notice of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think that Jack Bernard's perhaps coming at it from a biased kind of bitter viewpoint, maybe. What do you reckon Ronaldo's signing will do to United's chances of the title? Because for me personally, I do sort of agree with Bernard's points there. He's not the same sort of Ronaldo we saw 10, 15 years ago. And Paul Merson said the same thing, that United fans shouldn't necessarily expect, 30, 40 goals a season, because although he's still a machine and arguably the best player, he's knocking on 37. So Do you think the signing will impact United's chances of getting the title, or
no?
Do you think they won't win it?
No, I don't think they'll win it. I don't think they're going to win it before Ronaldo joined. I don't think they'll win it after Ronaldo joined. I don't really get it. I don't know why they've done it, apart from just a little nice nostalgia trip. That seems to be what United are these days. They're just like this nostalgia club. They've got the bloke who won the Champions League in '99 in the dugout. They've got the bloke who won the Champions League 2008 up front still. I don't get it. And they've got, of all the things United needed, another attacker wasn't one of them. I was watching Portugal versus Ireland the other night. I was short of things to do. And Bruno Fernandes and Cristiano Ronaldo just look like they're on completely sort of different wavelengths. I don't really know how that's going to work. He was brought into Juventus to win the Champions League. He didn't do it. They didn't get anywhere near winning the Champions League. The world revolves around him when he plays because that's his style. He's this like sort of old school weapon who you have to like really line up and get absolutely spot on. But when it's used properly, it can be very destructive, I'm sure. I don't get it. I just don't think it's what they needed. They should have spent all that money on another holding midfielder. That's what I think.
Yeah, I sort of agree there. I think it might come back to bite them. Later down the line, I know he's a prolific player, and they've probably made the money back in shirt sales already. Did you guys see the queues for the Man United merchandise building this week? That must have made them a few quid. Do you think, Bernard?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? I mean, the old green and yellow scarves are back in the drawers for a little while, aren't they? The clever guys, the Glazers. I'm not going to knock them as such. I mean, I remember when City were, rubbish, for a long, long time. I meant many years. And the only way to keep the fans off your back is to sort of try and buy a big name player or bring someone in. And to me, it just smacks of that, as Jack was saying there. There's no real logic in it. As forward planning wise, there's no real logic in it. It's just, it's like when they brought Van Persie in to win that final title before, obviously, that was the last time they won it, I think, wasn't it? When they got him in for that last season. And it does smack of that, and they're hoping for that. And say from a commercial point of view, the Glazers aren't daft. They're not in business. They've not got the money. They've got the organisation they've got by being silly. And I think it's a good thing by them. As I said, it's going to keep the fans quiet, keep Mr. Neville quiet. I don't know what his views are at the moment, but he was starting a revolution a couple of months ago, wasn't he? But yeah, I mean, the canny guys, these Glazers, they can stay there as long as they want for me, to be honest with you. But yeah, I think it's a business thing, is it? Let's be honest about it. If they get a bonus of a league win or something else, then fantastic. But it's a business thing first and foremost.
Go on, Jack. I saw that you wanted to say something there, pal.
How many free kicks is Ronaldo going to take and not score this season?
He'll probably start putting them in now. Well, that's a problem. He'll probably fly in every time now.
I'll start the bidding at 50. I think this shirt number thing really. Have you heard about this? How he's like, I think that all this. I just don't care about that, man. When he's saying, "Oh, I want the number 7." And United go, "Sorry, Edinson Cavani's already number 7. I want number 7." And you go, "Okay, Edison's going to give you a number 7." It's like, grow up. Just take a shirt number. I'm very much from the Angel Di Maria school of that, where he goes, "It's just a bleeping shirt number. Just get over it."
I don't think it was him personally that's demanded that. I think United have looked at it from a marketing perspective.
Yeah,
we can make some real money here. That, like Bernard was saying, I know I've talked about Ronaldo in a pretty much negative light for the last few minutes. One thing we have to give kudos to is this week he brought Ali Dyer's goal-scoring record of 109 goals, scoring 2 late goals against the Republic of Ireland on Wednesday to perhaps break their hearts. I don't think they deserve to lose that game, but what an achievement for Ronaldo to do that, Bernard. And what do you think it takes to play at the highest level for that long, performing consistently week in, week out? He's just an unbelievable athlete, isn't he? Taking the Manchester City bias out of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just amazing what he's done, isn't it? I mean, him and Messi are still knocking on now, aren't they? Still doing the business even at their age. As I say, I've always thought Messi was a more complete player. I think Ronaldo's more if you need something the last minute, he may provide. He'll provide it for you know. But I mean, how old is he now? Is he 30? Is he 36 now or
37 in February? So
37 in February. I mean, it's at that level of football. I mean, even going to Juventus, you know, it wasn't a step down, was it? I mean, Juventus, the Italian league, you know, it wasn't taking it easy, was he? Let's be honest about it. And although it didn't quite work out for him, at least he had a go, which I thought all credit to him. You know, he could have easily done something else and gone somewhere else, perhaps not as to a league, perhaps not as tough. You know, I'm not going to say anything about other players, but it'd be interesting because I say he is a cracking player, and I'm sure he's got a season or two left. I'm going to see some special things. I have no doubt about it, and I'm sure he'll keep United fans happy. And obviously, as hope he doesn't keep them happy against us. I'm fine with that as long as he's rubbish against us. He can be great every other game, but I mean, you can't at 36 to say he still could walk into many teams around the world, and he's proven it, hasn't he? Because you know, in theory, if he said he'd come to City for now a week, I think we probably would have took him on. You know, let's be honest about it. You know, but we're not going to pay him silly money, and that's City's philosophy, and that's all there is to it. A lot of teams will be still happy to have him for a season or two, and United have got him. And I think it'll be an interesting match of the day this year because I don't watch United apart from match of the day much unless they play us. So be interesting to see what goes on match of the day for the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's certainly going to give us a lot of electric moments. Maybe not as many as previously, but certainly he's still probably the greatest player in the world at the moment. What was your thoughts on seeing Ronaldo break the record, Jack? Do you think it was well deserved, and what do you make of him as an athlete?
I was very sad for Ireland, first of all. It was a bit heartbreaking that because they've been rubbish in the past couple of years, Ireland, and the fact they got so close to getting a point in Portugal was a shame. He's unbelievable. He's just like this sort of. I know we've just been slating him for the past 20 minutes, but he is an unbelievable figure. He's just this like footballing machine, isn't he? He just keeps going. He keeps scoring goals and. It takes a lot more now to, get him in the right positions. And, the whole team does have to sort of revolve around him now, but he is still unbelievably good. And it's just his leap and his heading, and he's a supreme athlete. Yeah, it's breaking that record is pretty unbelievable, really. I don't know how many games he's done it in, but I think I saw a fact saying like since he turned 30, I think he's got 56 goals in 54 Portugal games, which is pretty mind-boggling, isn't it? Really, I do think that Bruno and Ronaldo thing could be something to look out for. Though, I watching that game the other night, I just sort of thought, I'm not sure about you two, but yeah, breaking the record is pretty unbelievable.
You mentioned some astronomical numbers there, Jack. Before we finish, I'll put the question to both of you on that score. Where do you think Ronaldo ranks in the greatest of all time debate? Because obviously we've got Maradona, Pele.
You're trying to get us in trouble here, aren't you?
Loads of different players. Danny Ings, anybody. Where does he rank in the greatest of all time debate before we finish?
He's clearly behind Danny Ings. Don't worry about that. I mean, I prefer Messi. Certainly in footballers that I've been watching, it's just those two are just so far ahead. Even ahead of like Zidane and Ronaldo, like Brazilian Ronaldo and Thierry Henry and all of those, Ronaldinho, all of those pale into comparison, really. Because you're talking about just numbers that are only possible in video games, really, what those two produce. It is pretty remarkable. And as I say, the fact they're still going. How old's Messi now? Like 34, isn't he? And he's still going.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the most difficult league anymore, but it's still pretty unbelievable, those two, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, if you go back, obviously I can go back a bit further than you guys. I mean, as you probably can see, but even if you go back to your Peles and all that sort of thing, I mean, Eusebio, I even remember him and people like that are probably well beyond you can remember people like that. But I think it's the level they played at, I think, and the standard of football they played and the standard of football they played at, and where they've been a bit internationally and for obviously in the national teams, in the Barcelona and Real Madrid, United, even in the early days. I mean, it is that longevity, isn't it, that sort of sets them apart. I think both of them. I'm not going to give you one over the other because I don't want to do that. If you had a gun to my head, I'd say Messi every day of the week. Of course I would, because I think as a character, as a person, I like Messi. A lot of footballers I don't like because of the personality, not particularly because of what they do on the pitch. I appreciate what they do on the pitch, but sometimes I just don't like a personality of a football, and I would take Messi day in, day out. But there's no doubt both of those. Even going back in time, I'll be struggling. Yeah, of course, Pele and people like Eusebios of this world were tremendous in their time as well. But obviously, it's a different game now, isn't it? And it's hard to compare. But I think these two would take some beating overall, to be honest with you.
I've done a lot of research on Maradona over the past few months, and for me,
Maradona,
the guy just trumps everybody. You know, the total enigma, what he was when he was a player, he was revered by all the fans. They saw him as a god, didn't they? So for me, Maradona is the best player of all time. And they've got some way to go though, Ronaldo and Messi, like you say, they are supreme athletes. So hopefully we see them for a few more years to come. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining this discussion today, lads. I've personally really enjoyed it. For the viewers watching on Facebook and YouTube and wherever else you're watching or listening, be sure to tune into the Box to Box podcast again on Tuesday to hear some more Premier League news and other topics. Thank you guys for joining me today, and I'll see you again soon.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.